Our gospel this morning comes from the book of Matthew, the 20th chapter. Jesus told this parable, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyards. When it was about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, 'You also go into the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right.' So they went. When he went out again about noon and about 3 o'clock, he did the same. And about 5 o'clock, he went out and found others standing around, and he said to them, 'Why are you standing here idle all day?' They said to him, 'Because no one has hired us.' He said to them, 'You also go into the vineyard.' When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, 'Call the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and then going to the first.' When those hired about 5 o'clock came, each of them received the usual daily wage. Now when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received the usual daily wage. And when they received it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, 'These last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat.' But he replied to one of them, 'Friend, I'm doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to this last the same as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last.'" The gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
That's not fair. That's fair. That's fair. Not fair. Fair. Not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
There was a line for cookies. I was the first one in line, and you gave it to everybody else except for me. That's not fair.
Being fair would like if you went somewhere and you invited someone and then you change your mind and not letting them come with you, that's not being fair. And being fair, if we invited them, they could come with us.
Every time when we have snacks, she lets us have like more and more and more cookies. The first half has cookies and the other half has no cookies. That's not fair. That's not fair, but it's fun. We went up to clean our house once, and my sister got $5 and I only got 2. That's not fair. They got to go out to eat and I didn't. That's not fair.
I got in trouble because my friend tripped me over and then accidentally tripped him over by walking in front of him, and then he got tripped over and then he told on me and I got a referral. That's not fair.
Sometimes he won't share his toys with me. I just walk away. That's not fair. I got in trouble lots of times. That would be unfair. I've already got like more than 3 referrals over the years. Unfair. I think this is like my 4th referral this year. That would be unfair. Not fair. 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 Not fair. When your brothers or sister do something bad and your parents aren't there to see it, you can get the blame for it. I don't really think that's fair. I just think in my mind that like, oh, that's not fair. Not fair. That's not fair. Not fair. That's not fair. Not fair. I want to be fair. That's not fair. Not fair. Not fair. That's not fair. I don't like it when you be unfair. It makes me frustrated. Oh.
That's not fair. When I used to say that, my mother's standard comeback was, "The fair is in August." I didn't really get it. I guess my mom did grow up on a farm and the fair was in August, but whatever. How do you respond when your children or your grandchildren come at you with that famous "it's not fair" line in that oh so pleasant tone? Have any of you used the classic response? I think you know it. When they say "it's not fair," you say, "Life's not fair." As adults, we unfortunately really know this to be true. And the person at peak physical fitness and wellness drops dead at the age of 50 of a stroke. And the chain smoker addicted to the old country buffet lives to a ripe old age of 92. When someone gets a job or a position, not because of their great skill or what they know, but because of who they know. When a corporation finds a loophole in the tax code or skip the country altogether to avoid paying their share, we all say it together, that's not fair. Scientists differ on the age children begin to understand this concept of fairness. Some say the capacity develops right around preschool, but a new study from the University of Washington shows that even babies recognize unequal treatment. Whenever it develops, most of us have an innate sense of what's fair and what's not. This is the sense that we should be treated equally, respective to those around us. And maybe perhaps also that if you do good, you should receive good in return. That's fair, isn't it? In secret, I wonder if we all really wish that karma ruled the universe. Or in the world of the parable we just heard, that at the end of the day, if a worker was overpaid for their work, that on the way home, their donkey cart would break down, and that would even the scales right up, wouldn't it? As it stands, this is a terrible parable. I've been wrestling with it all week, and no matter which way I spin it, it still makes me uncomfortable and upsets me, and I think it has to do with this issue of fairness. Because there stands the early morning shift with their hands out, waiting for their pay. They have put in their hours, having toiled and gotten sunburned and bruised, pruning or picking or whatever it is you do in a first century vineyard. Since they've been working all day, they are tired, ready to bring home their hard-earned subsistence living to their families. Well, they do get their one denarius. And if that was the end of the story, we wouldn't have a problem. That alone, work a day, get a day's pay, well, that's how we expect things to work. That is how God's kingdom or any kingdom should work. But that isn't the story, is it? As the parable goes, by the time those early morning workers got paid, they had watched as those who had worked 2 hours, 5 hours, 8 and 9 hours less than them received the exact same coinage that now lay in their palm. I can feel the indignation rising on my throat on their behalf, the frustration, the shock, and those words, "It's not fair." It's terrible. But then the logic of grace, of an unmerited gift, it's not attractive. Most of us like the logic of justice, things we can earn, warrant, control. We want to be able to tell our children that they live in a world where hard work pays off. Isn't this the common tune our youth hear sung by parents and school and society alike? You put your hard work in, you get the scholarship, go to the best of schools, and get the dream job. You get the spouse, the house, a girl and a boy. You get a boat, a cabin, and all the toys. That's what it's all about. Work hard, and you will earn much. That's what life's about. Good things don't come to those who wait, but to those who work their tails off. That's the spirit of meritocracy. Meritocracy. There's a big word I came across this week. It's this system in which people of ability or talent are rewarded and advanced. A place where if you put your nose to the grindstone, you'll be aptly compensated. Meritocracy. It's where most of us would like to believe we live in this great nation. It's the bedrock of the American dream, a good dream, of hard work and reward, of a fair system, of a just system, a system that other countries could only dream was up and operating in their country. And yet, here stands the parable, this terrible parable of Jesus today. And the question we are forced to ask as Christians is, what if that's just not God's system? The kingdom of heaven is like, the parable begins, as in, the kingdom of heaven where God is reigning here on earth is like this. And from the sounds of this story, I don't think God got the memo on meritocracy. God doesn't give a hoot about karma. God didn't actually create heaven in tiers from coach to first class, depending on our personal level of holiness. See, in God's economy, the worker in the vineyard who had the privilege of working all day does not achieve more. They achieve enough. And those who worked less and were down on their luck and might have expected less were given an unexpected and unmerited gift. What was Jesus doing in telling this parable, I've wondered? I guess he did just get done talking to a rich young ruler who thought he owned the keys to the kingdom of heaven because he had followed all the commandments. And in just a moment, Jesus was going to confront the disciples, two of his disciples' mother, who were going to come to Jesus and jockey so that their sons would have prime seating in the heavenly throne room. Maybe the reason Jesus told this story here is because he could see so clearly in the people around him how easy it is to believe that we are what we achieve, that we are worth our net worth or something along those lines. Working hard to achieve something is not a bad thing, but I think it's wise for us to recognize that a mindset of meritocracy has a flip side. It can come with a mind that says, I just need to work harder in order to impress the boss, get the promotion, have the perfect home, the well-rounded kids, the best life. I just need to work harder to get my life together, to stay organized, to be balanced, to find happiness. And when, due to disability or lack of prospects, or a deck stanced against you, or any number of issues, when hard work doesn't pay off, when life sends us 2 steps back for every 1 step forward, how quickly this self-talk can move from, I just need to work harder, to maybe I'm just not good enough. I'm just not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not perfect enough. And then all of this striving for achievement or perfection or whatever you name it can disintegrate further into a despair that believes, maybe I'm not enough. And I think for many, this is the broken record that plays when that American dream seems distant or proves to be a delusion altogether. I'm not enough. So thanks be to God for this terrible parable, where the kingdom of heaven, where God reigns here on earth, is a place where whether you achieve your highest dreams by working your tail off, or whether you've ended up short for whatever reason, you are enough. You are enough to earn the attention, the respect, and the gifts of the landowner of the vineyard. And in case you missed it, that landowner, I think, is God. As Christ says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Christ tells us, all of us in this parable, you are enough. If only we could see ourselves the way Jesus does, or at least our grandma, right? If only we could talk to ourselves in the way that we talk to a good friend when they're down on their luck. There's no way to merit what is intrinsic to us, given by God at birth, reconfirmed in our baptism, that is our human worth. We are enough. Before and after we're able to contribute a minute or a dime towards society, you are enough. Knowing this and believing it and then living your life without the masks or the armor or the games, well, that's a different story. The landowner in the end speaks directly to that indignant early shift worker who thought they were more equal than those who were working with them. And I think he also speaks directly to us, any of us who are in our insecure moments, find ourselves maybe looking down on or resenting any who work less, who have less, or pray less than us. And the landowner says this, are you envious because I am generous? Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? And what belongs to God is mercy. So maybe we're wise to stop trying to earn what is given to us as gift and be happy for others who, no matter their status in life, receive that same blessing. As it turns out, life's not fair, and neither is God. God is inexplicably, frustratingly generous with all of us. Grace is not attractive. What a terrible parable. Amen.